WCBM.
Talk Radio 680 WCBM.
Law Talk with Bill Sherwood is brought to you by Sherwood Legal Services.
The lawyers on air are not able to give advice about any given person's legal problem over the air. Giving legal advice requires confidentiality. Attorney-client privilege won't protect conversations literally being broadcast from a radio. If you call into this show, the attorneys don't represent you unless you sign a retainer. No paperwork, no representation. You have no expectation of privacy or attorney-client privilege on a call. This is a live broadcast. It does not get less confidential than this. The attorneys can't predict how any given legal matter will turn out. Lawyers give legal advice. They can't give you tailored advice about your legal problems without an in-person interview. Please call in with your general legal questions.
This is Talk Radio 680, WCBM and WCBM.com. It's time now for Law Talk with Bill Sherwood.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for spending this rainy Sunday afternoon with us. That disclaimer is a little hardcore. It kind of spooked me from wanting to talk on the radio today. As usual, we're going to start with our lawyer jokes. I'm going to turn over to Yosef for that.
Two lawyers and an insurance agent walk into a radio studio. This isn't our lawyer joke. It's real life and happening now on air. Lawyer and his client are on a yacht. Storm's coming up, and the client's kind of nervous. He sees fins in the waters. He knows what that means. The client's actually pretty right on this one. The boat capsizes, and the next day the Coast Guard shows up to find the lawyer alone, sitting on the capsized hull in his desk chair like nothing's wrong. "Where's the client?" asks the Coast Guard. "He was supposed to be with you. How come you're here? How come you have a desk chair?" And the lawyer's like, sharks got him. "Well, why didn't they get you?" "Eat me," the lawyer says. "There's still some professional courtesy left in the world."
And with that, we're going to start doing our introductions. Myself, I'm Bill Sherwood. I am the managing partner of Sherwood Legal Services, as well as a broker at Synergy Realty Company. I have a background in real estate going back to about 1998 when I started investing. Through that time, I was a real estate investor, an agent, as well as a real estate broker at a number of different places. And then with the bust of 2008, I went to law school, and here I am. And then I'm going to allow Yosef to do his intro, as well as John. Both these gentlemen I've known for some time. And if I ever find myself in a pickle where I need a lawyer, that old adage goes, if an attorney represents himself, he has a fool for a client, and even something worse as an attorney, which I won't say on air. I usually go to Yosef and his boss, my mentor, Bob Symes. So, Yosef, give yourself an intro.
So my name's Yosef Cooperman. I am an insurance coverage lawyer. I work for law office of Robert L. Symes. We represent policyholders and insurance companies in litigation about insurance disputes. So that means that I sue people about insurance, and I swear it's not boring.
Sure.
And I'm John Koch, and I'm here in between the two attorneys. It's a little bit sometimes interesting, but we enjoy ourselves. And I'm with Koch Insurance Agency. I've been around for 26 years it's a family business. I have actually now two sons in the agency, and we help people manage their risk. You're buying a home, cars, life insurance. We sort of help people make sure that they can hang on to those things when bad things happen. And when bad things really get bad, that's when we go to these guys. So it's kind of weird to think that we work together, but it really does. There's some synergy there, so it can happen. Question,
John: do you feel like you're swimming with sharks right now in this little room we're in?
A little bit. I start to sweat when I sit down between you two a little bit, but no, it's been fun so far, and we all get along pretty well, and don't take things too seriously, and we're good.
So, today we're talking about real estate nightmares. With my background in real estate, I've, pardon the bad pun, been around the block a few thousand times. And I have seen when things go really well, and I've seen the flip side of the coin. I've seen transactions where, People have tried to back out for some reason. Even just basically they sign a contract and change their mind. I've seen things where people sell a house, maybe didn't fully disclose all the little things hiding behind the baseboards and under the tiles and everything else. And it's, everybody has this idyllic sense of, I'm buying a house. It's going to be, this wonderful experience, and it's what it should be. But it's not always the instance.
Not always. Yeah, for sure. I've seen in my area for sure where we get a lot of phone calls where people go to settle in and crazy things sort of happen. So I don't know if you want to go there or not, but I have several years ago I've had a client move into a home that they put all their heart and soul and all of their finances and money and just put everything they had into this home to be able to settle and buy it. They had to come down with a down payment, and they get into this home, and I guess it was maybe 3 or 4 days later, they noticed that every time they flushed the toilet, they ended up with a little bit of water in the basement. So that was sort of hard to figure out, and it turned out to be a home that was put together by a contractor that was, I'd call him a flipper, I guess, that came in, and I think there was a lot of hidden problems that were covered up, I think, intentionally by the flipper, and that's where we had to get you guys involved.
Right. Yeah. The situation was, this was a young couple that scraped up every penny that they had in order to even be able to qualify for the mortgage, pay for the home inspections, the home warranty, property insurance, and appraisal, and all this 9 yards. And so by the time they get into the house, most of their money is pretty much already sunk into the property. And then, a couple days later, $10,000 worth of damage rears its ugly head because there's a broken pipe under the front lawn.
And I think $10,000 was the start, Bill. I don't know if you remember. Yeah. But $10,000 would have been okay.
Yeah.
But as things started to uncover, it got worse, and it really truly was a situation where they just didn't have those kind of funds, and they had family members, but it's hard to go to a family member and say, hey, I need $10,000.
Pardon me, Uncle Jim, can you loan me $20,000?
Yeah, that's a tough conversation. So,
I just made a poor investment, and I need you to bail me out.
and the sad part was, it really, from looking from the outside, I saw the home was beautiful. And to walk into this house and to see the basement was just beautifully finished and the kitchen was redone. And for the layperson looking at this thing, I thought, man, you got a heck of a deal on this house. It was tremendous.
Well, I think that when you look at it from a larger legal perspective in terms of what the law is going to compensate you for, the first thing you need to know is that there's usually not a large amount of money in the flipper's pocket. The way it works is you buy it for X and you sell it for X plus 10% after you put in the work. It's not like the flipper walks away with a gigantic stack of cash that's just there. Mm-hmm. Often the flipper, especially if it's fly-by-night flipper, might move on, move state, put the money into a new house, and now it's all locked up. And so it's not like one of the harder parts of being a lawyer in that kind of situation, explaining to the client that, sure, they might have $20,000 of damages, but the person who caused it doesn't have $20,000, so they're not going to get, they can't get what isn't there. And I think that when you look at it like that's the hardest part of the legal part of it, is that there's not actually a good remedy for that.
Right. Well, I mean, in the situation that John was bringing up, this was a semi-professional flipper that had bought and renovated the house. Yeah. They didn't pull permits. They didn't cross their T's and dot their I's in a manner that we would hope someone would when they're flipping a home. And the work wasn't done in a workmanship-like manner, so that's why we had things backing up. There was a floating floor with the underground river just working its way across. And
that was covered up, I think, intentionally at that point. And that was a little more severe than just the average contractor maybe not knowing what he's doing.
Right.
It was pretty intentional, I thought, which was really rose it to the next level.
Well, one of most litigation in this country is actually paid for at some level by a liability insurance policy, just because most Americans don't carry around large amounts of money that they use to satisfy judgments. It's not how life works. And ironically, the more intentional the thing gets, the less likely there'll be insurance coverage. Now, there's never going to be insurance coverage for faulty workmanship. Right. They don't insure that. But they especially don't insure fraud.
Well, the issue was, I think, and we're heading into the insurance side of things here, was that, part of the problem also was in a water main that was outside of the home, and insurance generally doesn't cover that unless you have a policy in place to cover the water main, which is normally separate from your normal homeowner's policy. You can get those policies, but in this case, you can buy those policies for $5 or $6 a month, but they take 30 days before they're even put into place. And I think in the basement issue there was that had to do with some of the workmanship of the pipes that had just.
The worker had clearly, or the flipper had clearly just said, "Let's make everything pretty, cross our fingers, and make this money where we can, and try to move on and hope nothing happens." It's just a bad situation.
Yeah. And Bill, I remember the whole situation because obviously the first person they come back to is the insurance agent, and I was trying to do everything I can to help them. And I just remember initially how he felt so helpless.
Yeah.
Because he was told, the insurance company said, "Hey, we can't cover this because."
And the home warranty company didn't cover it.
The warranty company didn't want to cover it, and it went on for several weeks of him just being hopeless and not knowing what to do, and finally.
Well, luckily there's a section of the Maryland Real Estate Contract, Section 36, that talks about when something breaks down between the buyer and seller, and it brings them out to say they have to mediate or arbitrate before they go to litigation. Right. So if you process the paperwork and you have somebody who's willing to talk, you can, within 30, 60 days, you can be at the Greater Baltimore Board of Realtors having a mediation between the buyer and seller. Yeah. And hopefully they come to some sort of agreement that everybody can live with.
Yeah.
I have a lot of experience with this, and usually we get some sort of common ground for everybody. Every once in a while, everybody digs in, we got to go to court. But at least the mediation point is there, and it does give us a means to be able to try to settle things more quickly.
Yeah. Well, I think without your help, that probably wouldn't have happened. That was sort of my point. It comes to that a lot of times. You've got to go ask for help, and
I would believe Joseph actually has a separate point of view on this because he had recently purchased a house, and I would think that you have a different thing because John and I have done this well in the past. So when we come back from break, we're going to have a conversation about you as your first-time home buyer, and then just talk about things from there. So please give us a call after break. The numbers to call in is 410-922-6680, 1-800-922-6680, and we're talking about nightmare real estate transactions back after this.
WCBM, Baltimore.
We're here from 1-800-GOT-JUNK to clean out your garage.
How did you get here so fast?
I'll open the garage door.
Follow me, guys.
Yes, sir.
You sure you can handle it?
Zero problem, sir.
The radio ads say all we have to do is point.
The radio speaks the truth, ma'am. Give it a try.
Can you fight your way to that refrigerator back there? It's gone.
Now it's my turn, honey. I've really been dreading trying to move that big... I would never have believed it.
Can you take that big pile of...
Do you have anything in the attic or the backyard you'd like to make disappear?
Follow me. How about... And could you take...
How do you guys do that?
It's gone. It's all gone.
All you have to do is point. Just call us 90 minutes before you need us to be there at 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
I never knew our garage was so big.
Wait till you see the backyard.
Just call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
Hi, this is Sean Casey for Sheldon & Sons. Tradition, attention to details, craftsmanship. These are words that are easy to say, but hard to earn. For over 40 years, Sheldon & Sons professional painters have provided the highest quality residential and commercial painting services in the greater Baltimore area. Ernie Sheldon had a dream when he immigrated from Ireland in 1962 to start his own business with the skills he learned from his dad, that of a professional painter. Now run by his son Scott, the heritage of 4 generations of professional painting services remains intact. Whether you have a need for a commercial painting project like the one they did for the National Aquarium in Baltimore or a Victorian home in Lutherville, you can be assured of this. They'll provide you with the highest quality painting application backed by the strongest guarantee in the industry. You can reach them today online at SheldonandSons.com. That's SheldonandSons.com. 4 generations of craftsmanship are just a click away. MHIC number 51964.
Synergy Realty Company, LLC, is a boutique real estate brokerage built to serve you. Thinking about selling your home? Sellers just mention this ad to list your home for sale with a 1.5% listing fee, which includes a home staging consultation and professional photography. Call 443-776-1846. We also have buyers covered. If you know a first-time home buyer, have them call 443-776-1846 to sign up for a free home buyer seminar that could save them thousands on closing costs, home inspections, and warranties. Are you a real estate investor? Maximize your portfolio by calling 443-776-1846 to schedule a free consultation. Or visit Synergy Realty Company online at synergyrealtyexperts.com or call them 443-776-1846.
Are you searching for the right care? Laurier Mays Chapel is the place for you. I'm Victoria, Social Services Director. Everyone deserves a place to support a healthy lifestyle.
I'm Dr. Christina Garrison, Director of Rehabilitation. We offer therapy practices that include our anti-gravity treadmill and the bionic leg.
Whatever your needs, long, short-term, or special medical treatment, call 410-252-0880. As a family-owned and operated company, it's more than just a business. It's a way of life.
As a small business owner, keeping up with the ever-changing marketing and social media trends can be difficult and time-consuming. Let SK Creative Solutions take the responsibility off of your plate. At SK Creative Solutions, they offer various marketing services such as social media management, website design, search engine optimization, and graphic design. SK Creative Solutions is a one-stop shop for all of your small business marketing and advertising needs. Grow your business today with the power of social media and website marketing. Visit skcreativesolutions.com for more information.
The views and opinions you hear on Talk Radio 680, WCBM, and WCBM.com are not necessarily those of the owners, management, employers, and advertisers of WCBM. But they should be.
Make that America home of the free.
And now more of Law Talk with Bill Sherwood on Talk Radio 680 WCBM and WCBM.com.
Is that John Cougar Mellencamp we were getting serenaded in by?
Yeah.
Hadn't heard him in a while. All right, well, we're back. We're talking about real estate transactions and real estate nightmares. And we were getting ready to tag Joseph in to talk about his recent home purchase.
Yes, so I bought a home in Owings Mills last July. Mm-hmm. And it was something that, as a lawyer, I've seen, coverage litigation about home insurance and the ways that all your homes can get broken. It's a nasty mess. But I actually, from my perspective going through it as a lawyer, knowing the rules, it just emphasized to me how kind of hopeless the average consumer is. You don't have anything, there's nothing you can do. You see a home, now, I know all about coverage law. But if you ask me how to use a hammer, I had to get a YouTube video. That's not, I'm clueless. So you go, you find a house, it meets the price point, it meets the area, and then you get a home inspector. With a home inspector, my recollection is that they have a disclaimer of liability on it, which says that if the home inspector didn't do it right and the whole thing's about to fall down and he didn't find it, then it's not his fault, and you can recover at most the price that you paid. And my gut feeling is that I haven't been put in the position of having to go research whether or not I signed away my right to recover, but I 99% think I did.
Right.
And the home inspector I got was great. He found all these problems I didn't even realize were problems. But
didn't even know there was a piece of house there to have a problem with, right?
So it's one of those things though where you can't really, you're left with, you have to, if you don't do it right the first time and get the inspector and get a good inspector, it's not like you get to turn around and sue someone and get your money back, because that's not how the legal system works. So like in the matter we were talking about before the break, I suspect that I don't know all exactly what happened. I wasn't involved. But I suspect that what happens is that the flipper says, well, look, I don't have all this money, and I still say I didn't do it wrong, and chasing me will cost a fortune, so I'll give you half and leave me alone. And when you look at the cost of litigation, that's usually a good offer.
Right.
So that's, my lawyer's perspective on home buying, is that it's, not much you can do to make it safer.
Well, I think a lot of the reason why your transaction was so great was because you had a really great real estate agent.
I twisted your arm into selling me a home.
Oh, it was me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was a lot of arm twisting. I was like, Bill, sell me a home. You're like, I'm busy, I have a job. And I'm like, no, you're going to sell me a home.
And you also used Summit Title, too, and they took care of you.
Well, that was great.
Shameless plug.
I think a lot of people do think, Joseph, that when they have a home inspector come in and do the home inspection for their property, that they're getting protection, and I think people find out the hard way that they're not.
Well, they're getting information, and getting information is how you avoid having a problem. If the home inspector shows up and says, like when my brother used the same home inspector, and the home inspector on the first 2 houses he looked at, the home inspector took the money, looked at the house, and said, "Look, this addition is falling off, literally falling off." And he walked away from transactions because what you're doing is you're spending money to avoid.
Away.
And theoretically, you could go to court. You could buy the house, and then if it wasn't disclaimed, or if they didn't find it, then you could have all these remedies against the seller. But realistically, the only thing you can do to protect yourself is to not get in litigation in the first place. You can't. It's like a wrestling match with a grizzly bear. You can't win. The most you can go off is being lightly mauled. Right. And then you'd be like, oh, it was a glorious victory. I was only mauled a little. But the real way you win is by not wrestling the grizzly bear.
Well, I mean, in one of those situations too, the house flipper was basically, it got in over their head, right? They had, went in, over-improved the house in a lot of ways, didn't fix some of the things that should have been fixed, and they went broke doing it. So even if somebody buys that house, there's not going to be anything on the other side to be able to make them whole. They're going to just basically take ownership of the addition that's fallen to the earth or whatever. So, the home inspectors, they're one of the best investments you can do when you're doing the purchase of a home. But what happens when the home inspector doesn't do their job?
Yeah.
That limited liability that Joseph was talking about is, you can only get back the money you paid me. Well, what if they missed a $20,000, $30,000? Uh-oh. So there is a remedy with home inspectors. You go through and you can file a complaint. The Department of Labor Licensing through Maryland has a guarantee fund for real estate agents, for lawyers, for home inspectors, and a lot of other professionals, just to basically build some sort of firewall to protect the consumer.
Yeah, but it's a long and expensive road.
Yes. Yeah, and you're not necessarily guaranteed to be made whole. You might end up, scalping one of these professionals and taking their license. And maybe that's the victory that somebody might want revenge-wise, but it's not going to still get their house right.
Bill, one of the things that I always like to suggest to people, because I think one of the most common problems is water issues. So when you're moving into a house and you're having a home inspected, a lot of times they'll offer for an extra $100 or $200 to put a camera down into your pipes. And take a look at the water main and take a look at the pipes under the home. That can present a lot of or prevent a lot of problems from occurring as far as water is concerned. So from a recommendation standpoint to people, spend the extra money and get a camera down there and look.
So some of the most horrific stories I have as an attorney in housing comes from John. He's sent me some real doozies. There was one time where I got a call where a homeowner came home to a basement full of raw sewage, and their neighbor came home to a basement full of raw sewage, and so did the other neighbor. And it was everywhere. And trying to figure out who caused what and digging through it is basically a nightmare. You start digging into the contractors, figure out what was the standard of care. Did they do everything right? Is this just a bad incident? Right? Yeah. A lot of times, insurance companies, if you don't have that rider, they're going to...
Yeah, that's...
your house is sunk.
You're exactly right. And one thing you don't want to be doing is cleaning up raw sewage yourself out of your basement. So I would say the first rider that you want to talk about with your agent going into the policy is a rider that would cover those types of things, because it's more common than you think.
Exactly, and you can insure against sewer backup, and you can and it's a match because there's, raw sewage is very expensive to clean up. You can also, you want to look at the mold coverage in a policy. Many insurance companies don't want to pay for mold because there's reason to believe that the mold never quite goes away. So the remediation bills are spiraling and endless. And many insurance companies' solution is to put a $5,000 cap and walk away. And you want to look at that.
As a drop in the bucket.
And when you want to look at the
mold.
real cost of these repair bills, if you wind up with a big basement, with a couple feet of raw sewage in it, then that is an enormous, expensive, and smelly job, and it costs a fortune to get rid of. It's people don't think about it because no one really thinks it will happen to them.
Well, it's an easy fix too. If you're talking to your professional and they're making the right recommendations, it's an easy fix to take care of. But it's absolutely something you should at least be including on your policy. Then it gives you something to work with when they.
Oh yeah, exactly. From my perspective, when the client comes in, they're like, "Oh, look at our policy. Look at the policy." And you're like, "Well, if you didn't buy a policy that insures against this, I can't do anything because it's not there."
Yeah.
I don't know whether any of you guys saw the news a few days back with the fire over in Hamden. That's where our office is located. Yosef and my office is located. It's not too far, maybe about half a mile from us. We happen to see it on the screens in the office. And it was a contractor doing something on the house and something caught fire as a result of whatever. And not only that house was taken out, but a number of the neighbors' houses were taken out. And I think it was a total of 8 houses now uninhabitable because something happened on house number 1 and the other 7 are gone.
Wow.
Not a good situation for any of these people. And if there is, if the contractor's at fault, hopefully there was insurance there to make sure that everybody's going to be made whole, hopefully. And all the homeowners' policies. And then if there's people renting, hopefully they have renters' policies.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a lot of confusion when these kind of things happen as to who's liable and who's going to pay.
I don't think anyone ever sorts it out, but to me, it's kind of clear because of all the work I do. The contractor probably has a commercial general liability policy. My gut feeling, without reading the policy, so I don't really know, is that the CGL will probably pay. That thing's usually sold in like 1 million, 3 million limits. 8 houses isn't going to cut it, so they're not going to pay everyone. If there are homeowners, the homeowners' policies will cover it. If there are renters, that will cover the contents that belong to it. Most houses in America are mortgaged, so most of them are insured because the mortgage companies insist. And what probably happens is everyone goes to their first-party insurer, goes and collects the claims, and the first-party insurers, the homeowners and the renters and the dwelling policy insurers, will turn around and go to the CGL and the contractor, and they'll have to pay because burning down 8 houses like that,
and hopefully the contractor has insurance, which you want to make sure. Another tip, if you're having work done on your property, you want to make sure that contractor has liability insurance. You want to see that certificate.
Bonds, licenses.
The certificate for CGL won't cover the contractor's work. That's a major misconception. If you go and hire somebody to go do a job and he does it badly, and then you sue him, the liability insurer will say that we don't insure contracts, that there's no fortuity, and that we don't insure faulty workmanship, and that they're not paying. What you want a bond, and realistically though, when you're looking at an unlicensed contractor, a licensed contractor has a license that if he just walks away on a job or, completely drops the ball and wrecks your house, then if he doesn't make that right or at least make a good effort to it, there's a licensing agency with a guarantee fund that will give you, I think, up to $50,000
per incident.
And they will come down on him like a ton of bricks and take his license. And that's what licensed and bonded means. It means that if he turns out to be, if you get to hire someone and you don't know him and he turns out to be a crook, it means there's something there. If you hire an unlicensed contractor, then the odds are that there's no remedy. Because even if they're unlicensed, they're not going to be insured. Right. And there's, getting money, the average American is so close to judgment proof that as a practical matter, you're never going to get your money out of it. And, that's, another one of the rotten parts of being a lawyer is explaining to people that sure they have a claim, but you can't get blood from a stone, so they should have changed up their life before they came to us.
And I know, guys, we'd love to hear some horror stories from our listeners out there. So if anybody has any stories to share with us or have any questions, we'd love to hear from you.
We're going to be getting ready to take a commercial break in a few seconds, so we would love to hear from you. The numbers to call in is 410-922-6680 or 1-800-922-6680. Call us with your real estate horror stories. that thing about Judgment Proof, I was watching that I forgot the name of the movie. It's about where Charles Dickens came up with the idea to make a Christmas Carol. And he went to his attorney, and someone had ripped off one of his works or something. And he's like, good news. When he was talking to the attorney, he turns like, good news. We have a judgment of £3,700. He's like, great. Well, when can I collect it? Oh, they're filed bankruptcy. You'll never collect it. But well, here's the judgment. And then he turns around and goes, oh, by the way, here's my bill. You know?
Yep, that's how lawyering works. That's why you use most litigations driven by the insurance.
Right.
Because if there's no liability coverage, there's no point suing most of the time.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take that break now. Back more after this.
WCBM, Baltimore.
It'll be a windy, wet, and cool into the afternoon with temperatures in the upper 40s to low 50s as showers move through, and then showers and thunderstorms tonight with a potential for some heavy downpours. The overnight low will hover near 50 as winds gusting from the east. Temperatures will stay below average on Monday with clouds. Also, the chance for some showers off and on into the afternoon hours. The high temperature will only reach 58 degrees. An even cooler day on Tuesday with a mostly cloudy sky and a high in the upper 40s, then warmer with a high in the low 60s Wednesday. I'm Jeff Marr from the Weather Channel for Talk Radio 680 WCBM.
Synergy Realty Company, LLC, is a boutique real estate brokerage built to serve you. Thinking about selling your home? Sellers just mention this ad to list your home for sale with a 1.5% listing fee, which includes a home staging consultation and professional photography. Call 443-776-1846. We also have buyers covered. If you know a first-time home buyer, have them call 443-776-1846 to sign up for a free home buyer seminar that could save them thousands on closing costs, home inspections, and warranties. Are you a real estate investor? Maximize your portfolio by calling 443-776-1846 to schedule a free consultation. Or visit Synergy Realty Company online at synergyrealtyexperts.com or call them 443-776-1846.
Most doctors are not trained to diagnose and treat hidden car accident injuries like muscle spasms, back pain, neck pain, and headaches. The problem is that soft tissue injuries are not always visible on x-rays. One of the best ways to detect hidden injuries is a thermography scan. Call Dr. Mitch Adolph, D.C. at 1711 York Road, Lutherville, 1-800-511-BACK to schedule your free thermography scan. Space is limited. Call 800-511-BACK today to schedule your free thermography scan.
Spice up your wardrobe with Needlepoint. Baldwin Belts is a Baltimore-based needlepoint company offering Maryland-themed and other various custom-designed belts as well as accessories. All their products are 100% hand-stitched, handmade, and are guaranteed to last. Choose from one of Baldwin Belt's unique designs or customize your own belt to tell your individual story. Their custom-made products make great wedding gifts and graduation presents. Have a big event coming up? Customize a key fob to use as promotional product or gift item. Visit BaldwinBelts.com for more information.
Go like a pro with the biggest savings of the season during the GMC Spring Sales Drive at Anderson Buick GMC Hunt Valley. Save thousands on Baltimore's best selection of new GMC trucks and SUVs, like up to $7,000 off the all-new GMC Terrain, or up to $8,000 off Acadias. And right now, take up to $12,000 off GMC Sierra pickups. It's the GMC Spring Sales Drive at Anderson Buick GMC Hunt Valley, 10125 York Road, or visit AndersonofHuntValley.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Well, I want to thank you for all the information I've gotten and all the money you've saved me over the years.
I love your show, and thank you so much for providing so much information.
I am now the techie geek of the family. Everybody comes to me because I learned so much from you.
But does that interest you as far as moving the music to Google at all or not?
I would be willing to look into that.
And the dog would be too.
Don't miss the Kim Komando Show, Sunday nights at 11, exclusively on Talk Radio 680 WCBM. And now more of Law Talk with Bill Sherwood on Talk Radio 680 WCBM and WCBM.com.
Welcome back. Again, the phone numbers to call in, 410-922-6680 and 1-800-922-6680. Today's topic is real estate nightmares. And we're going through, and when we start getting to some callers in a second. I was just thinking back to my time as a real estate investor, and there's been a number of times that different insurance policies actually saved my hindquarters. There was some times when if you buy a house, it's vacant, there's nobody in there, you're trying to make sure that the place is all the work is done and get it there. It takes some time. And I had the misfortune of basically having a basement turned into an indoor swimming pool. If it had not been for a certain rider, I would have had to actually drain that and repair all that myself. But luckily I had the sump pump rider, where basically if it fails, they cover everything.
That's the water and sewer backup. I bet your kids liked having the pool in the basement there, wouldn't they? That would have kind of been a...
That was a rental property, so they were actually still quite young yet. They weren't big enough to swim. But, it still might have been some sewage water in there, too. Might not have been great for to let them play around in.
Well, a little bit of dirt won't hurt anybody.
You're right. Build the immune system.
Yeah, it builds your immune system.
Well, I'm sure Yosef has quite a few stories about insurance clauses and where somebody didn't quite understand the situation when their house is vacant, or maybe a reside clause?
No, it's people don't understand the kind of policies they buy. So on a house, when you buy a house, they give you something called the homeowner's policy. It's usually based on the HO3 form, and most insurers use a variant of that. Then people move out of it, they turn it into a rental policy. You need a new form. It's called a dwelling policy. It's a different product. My recollection is that it's actually a little bit more expensive, but that's something I don't know. I don't sell insurance, so I don't know. I just sue people over it. And if you don't make the switch, then usually your claim gets denied. If you have a secondary home and the insurance company doesn't know about it and didn't overtly price in and, didn't sell you both policies at the same time, then the insurance company might decide that it's not your primary residence and therefore that there's no coverage. I don't think that's right, but that's what insurance companies do.
Yeah, you really have to be careful. You made a really good point. You have to communicate with your agent. Your agent should be talking to you at least once a year and doing reviews to make sure things are up to date. But you're exactly right. If you have a home classified incorrectly, there's a chance that something can happen and you may not have coverage in that.
Oh yeah, exactly. And they'll deny those claims. Like the insurance companies, don't. If you don't take the right policy, then they'll want to refund your premium and tell you to take a hike.
Have a nice day. Well, speaking about reliable insurance, we have a caller. Michael in Northwest Baltimore has a question about reliable insurance agents. Hi, Michael. You're live on the air with Law Talk.
You guys are hitting on what I wanted to call about. When you said lucky that you had that sump pump rider, you weren't lucky you had the rider. You're lucky you had an agent. You have a lot of insurance that's being sold by people calling in to call centers. They never get the same person twice, and so they have nobody to come back to if something goes wrong. They give up having an agent by getting cut rate insurance. So the good fortune is to have an agent that you can trust who told you that you may want to have this because experience shows that a sump pump rider will do a lot of protection that you wouldn't have had in just a vanilla policy.
Mike, right. you are preaching to the choir, man. I'm so glad you called because you're right. This day and age, there's the 800 number that you call. You get a different person every time you call. Those people really generally have no vested interest in you whatsoever. You're a number. Your best interest is really served by having an individual agent that knows you personally. When you call, they know who you are, and they stay in contact with you, at least a couple of times a year just to see if things have changed.
Yeah, I look at an insurance person as somebody who's an advisor, not just some vendor of some kind of product I don't really need or want. And there's oftentimes in situations where, if you just say, I just need insurance, and you're going through one of these nameless, faceless places, you're just going to get whatever, and it's not going to be actually what you need.
So one of the first cases I worked on, it was where you reside denial from Liberty. The guy spent half his time in Florida, a little bit less than half his time. I calculated it out with credit card records because your credit card knows exactly where you are. So
I thought that was Facebook.
And
we're getting into cars
when one of the Liberty Mutual had sold him 2 primary residence homeowners policies on 2 addresses in separate transactions, but they did the same active policies at the same time.
Jeez.
And if he had had an agent, then the agent would have said, you can't be telling me the truth on both of these. Go figure out what the correct thing and fix the problem. And instead, because he did it through a website, Liberty Mutual wound up denying it in any responsibility as an agent at all, even though they owned the website, which, they were right, apparently, because I lost on that point.
You lost, really?
Yeah, I know, I lost. And, but the end result, he settled the case and he wound up getting a good result. But, if he had had an agent, then he wouldn't have never needed to go figure out what insurance coverage litigation was, and he would have solved this entire problem if he had an agent, and even if the agent hadn't caught it, then at least it would have been the agent's fault.
Absolutely. Right. That's a good point in that if you go out, so many companies allow you to go on yourself without any interaction with anyone and make your own coverage decisions and your own policy decisions, and it's just not a good idea, because if there's a mistake made that you make on your own, who's going to stand up for you?
Yeah.
You're on your own, and that's easy to.
I got to say too, Michael, when you were when you're going into needing a good insurance agent, you actually had John and was doing a dance and had the two thumbs up. He was agreeing with you so much.
You know what? The thing is like this: people when they're surveyed by the insurance industry, 80 or 90% of them say the thing they crave the most is to have an insurance agent. And but on the other side, there are people who don't think it's important enough to have somebody sit down in front of them to go over all these things. They'd rather just be impersonal, and when they are impersonal, they don't have any person to take care of them when they need it. That's the downside of it.
Agreed, 100%.
I sympathize.
Thanks for joining us, Mike.
I always buy. I always like everything done as a website. That's my native preference. But if you have an agent, one of the things the agent gives you is the agent is responsible for making sure you did it right, and if they don't do it right, they've got liability coverage.
Yeah, and Joseph, I think a lot of the guys your age and gals your age are doing things by the internet, but I would suggest go ahead and do your research there. Get what you think's proper, and then talk to the agent and follow up.
Nothing replaces a face-to-face conversation.
You got it. Yep.
All right, so we're going to move on next to Joe in Westminster calling about insurance bonding for contractors.
Going to this earlier, but I didn't quite understand. You talked about insurance bonding for contractors. I'm anticipating a deck on my house. I'd like to be sure that I'm dealing with the right contractors.
Well, through social media and other internet research, you can go and find other people's recommendations, see how they've treated customers in the past. But if you're trying just to basically find out if they're insured, or if they're bonded and licensed, you want to go to the Department of Labor Licensing website and find out who is licensed. There's a link to that.
Yeah, the MHIC, I think. The DLLR does the licensing, but I think Maryland Home Improvement Commission, you can look up whether they're licensed. I think you can look up if they've posted a bond, because I believe they're required to post a bond.
Yeah, you can always ask them for proof of it, too.
Ask for a copy from the contractor directly is what I would do. Let me see your proof of your bond. Let me see your insurance certificate, and they should be able to provide that for you.
Yeah, because it's a piece of paper, and it's correlates with being a legitimate business and having, crossing all the I's and dotting all the I's and crossing the T's.
Yep. And the other thing, I think if the contractor's coming in a lot less expensive than the other 2 or 3 quotes that you're getting, there's probably something to look at. So make sure that they have the proper license and the proper bond, because that does cost a little bit extra, but in the long run, it's worth it.
Yeah, all right, so we do need to hop off to a break. Hang in there, Joe, for the rest of your answer. And then we got Bill still on hold in Dayton, Ohio. I don't know how we're reaching out that, but we do have a commercial break coming up. Hang tight.
Synergy Realty Company, LLC, is a boutique real estate brokerage built to serve you. Thinking about selling your home? Sellers just mention this ad to list your home for sale with a 1.5% listing fee, which includes a home staging consultation and professional photography. Call 443-776-1846. We also have buyers covered. If you know a first-time home buyer, have them call 443-776-1846 to sign up for a free home buyer seminar that could save them thousands on closing costs, home inspections, and warranties. Are you a real estate investor? Maximize your portfolio by calling 443-776-1846 to schedule a free consultation. Or visit Synergy Realty Company online at synergyrealtyexperts.com or call them 443-776-1846. 1-846.
Most doctors are not trained to diagnose and treat hidden car accident injuries like muscle spasms, back pain, neck pain, and headaches. The problem is that soft tissue injuries are not always visible on x-rays. One of the best ways to detect hidden injuries is a thermography scan. Call Dr. Mitch Adolph, D.C. at 1711 York Road, Lutherville, 1-800-511-BACK to schedule your free thermography scan. Space is limited. Call 800-511-BACK today to schedule your free thermography scan.
As a small business owner, keeping up with the ever-changing marketing and social media trends can be difficult and time-consuming. Let SK Creative Solutions take the responsibility off of your plate. At SK Creative Solutions, they offer various marketing services such as social media management, website design, search engine optimization, and graphic design. SK Creative Solutions is a one-stop shop for all of your small business marketing and advertising needs. Grow your business today with the power of social media and website marketing. Visit skcreativesolutions.com for more information. It's Baltimore's #1 marketplace, Radio Flea Market with Jay Harris, Sunday mornings from 7 until 8 a.m., exclusively on Talk Radio 680 WCBM. And now more of Law Talk with Bill Sherwood on Talk Radio 680 WCBM and WCBM.com.
Welcome back. This is Bill Sherwood. I'm joined by Yosef Cooperman and John Koch. Before the break, we were talking about real estate nightmares, and we were basically focused on contractors and how to know if they're legitimate. The last caller, Joe, wonders about someone building a deck on the back of his house, and basically at the end of it was just ask for a copy of the bond. I mean, that's the one thing that we can be sure of. If they have some sort of binder or something, there's some money there backing up just to show that the contractor is actually legitimate and doing good business practices. At least we hope. Another thing these builders can always do is make sure when they're doing work, well, what you can do when you have a builder is make sure they're pulling permits on your work through whatever state or jurisdiction that you're in. If you're in Baltimore County, make sure they're pulling Baltimore County permits or whatever, wherever. If there's a lack of permits, they may not be doing the work in a workmanship-like manner. There may be some problems that will pop up later on. And in that line, we have a call from Bill in Dayton, Ohio. That's a pretty far reach. Let's see what he's talking about. Hi, Bill. This is Bill.
Yep. Hi. This is for John.
Okay.
My question is how local business could impact the property claim.
We're having a little bit of trouble hearing you there, Bill.
Systems are now required in the Baltimore area. Is that only on new construction or repairing current homes and condos? And if so, how can I protect myself against additional costs of a sprinkler system after a flood?
Bill, thanks for the question. This is John Koch. I appreciate you calling in. Bill, Dayton, Ohio, but now I'm proud to say Bill and I are actually friends, and we've had this discussion over the air. So it was a little bit of a plant that he's calling in here. I wasn't sure if he was going to call, but Bill, thanks for calling in, and it is a topic that I thought we should probably cover today. I didn't know if we were going to get into it or not, but since you brought it up, but building codes coverage. In Baltimore County and in many counties, there's codes that are required, and Joseph may have some input on this, but when they go to build a house, for instance, now in Baltimore County, you have to have a sprinkler system built into your house. So if you have an older home, your house doesn't have a sprinkler in it. So if that house burns down and the house has to be rebuilt, now you have to put a sprinkler system in it. And from the insurance company standpoint, they're only going to rebuild your house the way it was prior to the loss. So if you had a sprinkler in it, they'll go ahead and put it in. If you don't, you're going to come up short on building that home, because I think the cost of sprinkler systems can add roughly 10 to 15% of the home. So if you're building a $300,000 house, that you can come up $30,000 short. And there's also recently, I don't know how recent, but I found out from the latest storm that there's also a thing called a frost guard that now has to go on when you're going to put a roof on that prevents ice damming. And you have to, so if that's part of a claim, if you had a frost shield on the roof, they'll go ahead and cover it. But if you didn't have a frost shield, they may not cover that, and you may end up some additional expense. So,
the insurance company only has to, by contract, put the house back to where it was.
Yes.
The laws of the jurisdiction may have changed since the policy kicked in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a little bit of a gray area.
It is, but if you have the right rider on the policy, which we push, you're going to be covered. If you don't,
yeah, you're going to, especially in, depends on the age of your house, obviously. It's like Baltimore City, for example, and like Camden Woodbury has buildings that were erected before Abraham Lincoln took the oath of office. That's the scale of age. And in America, that makes a city ancient, especially because many American downtowns from that period have burned down. So like, Chicago, for example, or San Francisco both got burned down. Downtown Baltimore burned down in 1904. But Hamden still has these old millstone buildings. And there, if you have to go and do a complete rebuild, then you're going to start looking at a whole bunch of upgrades to accommodate modern electric code.
Yes.
I mean, the same way that, Baltimore City has a huge problem with lead paint. And lead paint remediation, which, if I'm remembering, most policies aren't going to cover if if you're a landlord and you give someone lead paint poisoning, because the damages are so astronomical that the insurance companies don't want to touch it. But you can buy a rider. I mean, you can insure.
Yeah.
You can pay a little extra and never have to worry about it.
And a little extra is really all it is. It's building code coverage. You call all of those things. Maybe even you have older windows in the home and they don't, there's a new code that says they have to be a certain R-rated thermally,
what if it's a historic tax district where you have to have wood windows put back in, and you have the R code? You're going to be in a little bit more of a pickle.
Absolutely. But hey, for $40 a year, you can have that rider on there, and all those issues sort of go away.
And I think when you look at how people use their policies, people don't make small claims because they're afraid that the rates will go up. You buy a policy basically in the event of something so catastrophic you can't pay out of pocket. And when you make that investment, a policy that will only pay 90% of the way, the goal is to never wind up with a bag that you can't afford.
Yeah.
And if you're going to wind up with a huge bill to go upgrade your house from 1850s non-building code to 2018 building code, then that's what's the point of an insurance policy that leaves you with a bill you can't afford? I mean, the whole point of these policies is so you don't get there.
Absolutely.
Well, it's, it kind of harkens back to the conversation we were having last week about people waiving PIP coverage. For the cost of one cup of coffee a month, you can have all these things covered. But I mean, everybody's penny wise and pound foolish about something.
Yeah, it's tempting because when you call and you're shopping for insurance, it's just tempting to take the cheapest thing out there because we're all on a budget,
right?
And we're all trying to save a few dollars, but
most people never make a claim.
And most people never make a claim. That's true. But I've been around long enough, and I tell you, Murphy's Law will apply. You got to be careful. Get the right coverage in place.
I do want to take a second here. Thanks to Bill in Dayton, Ohio, for reaching out to us.
Absolutely.
Have a great Sunday. And I did want to take a second here and give a good thank you to some of our sponsors. Spinal Life. They have actually helped me out. As we were making jokes last week. I tend to play bumper cars, so I've needed some help with some spinal decompression a number of times.
You're their biggest client, correct?
Probably
personally.
Yeah. And every time I get in the car, Allstate gets scared, right? So Spinal Life, they do help out with a lot of back injuries. I would reach out to them if you're having any kind of back issues. And we'll be back with more with Law Talk after these commercial messages. Thanks.
Radio 680 WCBM.
Stay connected with stimulating talk and breaking news on Talk Radio 680 WCBM, Baltimore, and WCBM.com.
Upping the ante over Syria. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. On top of this weekend's airstrikes in Syria, the Trump administration will impose new sanctions on Russia for continuing to enable Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad. U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley on Fox News Sunday.
The military strikes did not have to happen if Russia had not covered for Assad. 6 times they vetoed chemical weapons resolutions related to Syria. And this last resolution that they only had 3 votes out of 50. 15. The international community is telling Russia that either you make a decision on how you act and when you act, or the rest of us will make a decision in isolating you.
Russia denies allegations of a recent chemical attack in Syria that prompted the Allied attack. The volunteer rescue group in Syria known as the White Helmets saying government forces resumed air raids on civilian homes today. Fired FBI Director James Comey casting the latest stone in his feud with President Trump. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Steve, Comey took to the president's usual outlet, Twitter, to outline the premise of his book, A Higher Loyalty. Comey says it's a book about ethical leadership and that 3 presidents are mentioned within it, 2 that help illustrate the values and 1 as a counterpoint. President Trump has blasted Comey on Twitter, calling him slippery and referring to the memos Comey kept of their meetings as self-serving and fake. 3 House committees are asking to see those memos to assess any inconsistencies with what's in Comey's book, which hits store shelves Tuesday. Steve.
Gernal, word that former First Lady Barbara Bush is in failing health, and after a recent series of hospitalizations, she will not seek additional medical treatment. A statement from President George H.W. Bush's office saying the 92-year-old will focus on comfort care. The statement adding Mrs. Bush is surrounded by family and appreciates the many kind messages. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
Can you tell if this burger contains bacteria that could cause kidney failure? Listen. Can't, can you? You can't see it either. There's only one way to tell if you've cooked meat and poultry to a bacteria-killing temperature. Use a food thermometer. It's not an extra step or a nice to have. Raw or undercooked meat may contain bacteria that can make you very sick, or worse. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year, and roughly 3,000 will die. But you can keep your family safer by using a food thermometer every time. Learn more about this and other important information. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov. That's foodsafety.gov. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
These kinds of April showers don't bring Mayflowers in the Midwest.
Really big snow today. These are your snowfall totals. Widespread, getting up to a foot. Some spots getting up over 2 feet with this mid-April snow. On top of all of that, we've got some severe weather stretching down across the country.
Fox News meteorologist Adam Klotz, the storm system blamed for at least 3 deaths. Attorneys for President Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, have until tonight to file motions in a court battle over documents seized by the FBI.
Lawyers will be back in a New York courtroom on Monday as a judge weighs what to do with Michael Cohen's documents and other material taken by the FBI during a raid last week. Michael Avenatti, who represents adult film actress Stormy Daniels, is also watching the case closely.
My client's documents are some of the documents that were seized in connection with the search warrants.
Cohen says the seized material is protected by attorney-client privilege. In Washington, Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
Somebody order marijuana with that?
The Norris family in Houston on Friday night decided to get some McDonald's for dinner, but when they got home...
As soon as I opened it, there was marijuana sitting right on the top inside of a sandwich bag.
And obviously stunned Charlene Norris, who was about to serve the meals to her kids. They immediately contacted the location about what happened. They said someone had taken their food by mistake, then gave it back to the restaurant, and then it was given to the Norris family as they were waiting in the drive-thru. It didn't all add up, so the Norris family took their own measures.
We called the police.
The McDonald's location did give them a full refund and a new meal. Still no explanation on how the mystery marijuana ended up with the burgers and fries.
Fox's Jim McKay. Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin apologizing for saying kids were left home alone and sexually abused while teachers protested over pay at the state capitol last week. The Republican governor saying he did not intend to hurt anyone. The State House of Representatives condemning Bevin in 2 separate resolutions. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
WCBM, Baltimore.
It'll be a windy, wet, and cool into the afternoon with temperatures in the upper 40s to low 50s as showers move through, and then showers and thunderstorms tonight with a potential for some heavy downpours. The overnight low will hover near 50 as winds gust in from the east. Temperatures will stay below average on Monday with clouds. Also, the chance for some showers off and on into the afternoon hours. The high temperature will only reach 58 degrees. An even cooler day on Tuesday with a mostly cloudy sky and a high in the upper 40s, then warmer with a high in the low 60s Wednesday. I'm Jeff Maher from the Weather Channel for Talk Radio 680 WCBM.
We're here from 1-800-GOT-JUNK to clean out your garage.
The radio ads say all we have to do is point.
The radio speaks the truth, ma'am. Give it a try.
Can you fight your way to that refrigerator back there? It's gone.
It's my turn, honey. I've really been dreading trying to move that big... I would never have believed it.
Just call us 90 minutes before you need us to be there.
I never knew this place was so big.
Wait till you see the backyard.
Just call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
Honey, I think we need a new fence.
A new fence? Why?
Well, for starters, to keep the kids safe, control our pets, protect the landscaping, enhance the architecture.
Whoa, what?
Define our property boundaries, overall privacy, enhance home security, add to the property value.
Wow, if only you'd done some research. I'll call Long Fence.
No need. Already got a free estimate at longfence.com.
Everything we do makes a difference at Long Fence.
WCBM is proud to announce that Anderson is the official auto dealer of WCBM, so please be sure to visit Anderson in Hunt Valley when buying a Honda, Buick, or GMC. Thank you.
The WCBM studios are brought to you by Safe Retirement Solutions. Call our friend Rod Baroy at 410-266-1120 or on the web at saferetirementsolutions.com.
Law Talk with Bill Sherwood is brought to you by Sherwood Legal Services.
The lawyers on air are not able to give advice about any given person's legal problem over the air. Giving legal advice requires confidentiality. Attorney-client privilege won't protect conversations literally being broadcast from a radio. If you call into this show, the attorneys don't represent you unless you sign a retainer. No paperwork, no representation. You have no expectation of privacy or attorney-client privilege on a call. This is a live broadcast. It does not get less confidential than this. The attorneys can't predict how any given legal matter will turn out. Lawyers give legal advice. They can't give you tailored advice about your legal problems without an in-person interview. Please call in with your general legal questions.
And now more of Law Talk with Bill Sherwood on Talk Radio 680 WCBM and WCBM.com.
Thanks. Welcome back into our last half hour. The call-in number is 410-922-6680, 1-800-922-6680. And today's topic is still real estate nightmares. When we're over the break, we're kind of talking. I actually have a recollection of the time I first purchased a home. It was right after I listened to Carlton Sheets and was figured out how to purchase the home with no money down. I actually ended up negotiating to the point where I only spent $100 to get that first home. So I kind of patted myself on the back. And then 3 months down the road, I got I guess a really angry letter from an attorney that's going to remain nameless because he's still practicing out there, that I had not paid my ground rent. And he wanted to foreclose on my home. I didn't even know there was ground rent. I had no clue what ground rent was. Oh, boy. And then I had the angry, lawyer letter that everybody dreads, even me. So
they still do ground rent. Huh?
Oh, well.
Oh, yeah. They tried to ban ground rent by putting it into a registry, but they decided that was unconstitutional. And now there's a lot of ambiguity about what the active ground rent statute is, because they repealed the old one and put in a new one, but the new one's unconstitutional, so is the old one back in, I guess.
Yeah. It just sounds, it's basically your typical legal quagmire, right? Well,
it's an old school legal quagmire with leftover feudal dues because the people who founded Maryland thought that they could set up some sort of feudal aristocracy. It's a very weird and very Maryland problem to have.
Well,
but anyways,
my feudal lord was coming after me.
Basically.
Right, and this was before they capped the attorney's fees on trying to find out who lived at a home instead of just knocking on the door. This nice guy, ran the bill of $5,000 over maybe 3 years of 12-hour payments. Okay,
I'm not shocked.
Well, luckily I was fortunate enough to buy title insurance when I was doing all the math. But let's see, on the settlement statement knows you could buy some for yourself and some for the lender. Since I wasn't paying for it anyway, I negotiated that $100 deal, so I went ahead and purchased it. It was the smartest thing I had done, even though I really didn't do it. It was almost autopilot. But they came in, they paid off the angry lawyer and paid off the ground rent.
Yeah, people don't realize it, but that title insurance, and I know we love Howard over at Summit Title, Howard Weinstein, but boy, you can really get into a pickle. Can there be a lien on a property that that you don't know about, or a judgment?
What you're doing is you're ensuring that the title is what it says it is, and you'd think that in a
ensuring
normal
that it's
world,
marketable to future people,
and you're ensuring that that the person can convey it all. There aren't any prior liens, and you'd think that it would never pay out because you can find all the prior liens. You just have to check all the boxes, but. There are title disputes, there are undisclosed easements, things happen, and you usually find out about them well afterwards. And, that's what the title insurance is for.
Well, I mean, a good title company will do all these things and make sure there's no headaches there.
Yeah, exactly.
We've all heard of the horror stories where, they forgot about grandma's, undisclosed lien on the property or easement or whatever, and it causes a settlement to go sideways.
It's good investment, right?
Right.
For a few $100s. And is it mandatory to have that in a settlement? So, again, if you're trying to save a few bucks,
well,
it may not be a great idea.
lender makes you protect their interest, but your interest is, do you choose to insure against this risk or not?
Right.
And one of the things I got to say, this is a shameless plug for one of our sponsors, Summit Title, but I have personally used them for my own transactions as well as those for the people I represent. I even got Yosef to use them on his transaction when he was buying a house, and everybody's always happy. They always do a wonderful job.
They're very thorough.
Check them out.
I've used it myself, and I agree. They're
and
very
no
thorough.
drama.
Yeah,
no drama.
Well, usually the drama only comes in when the two agents are butting their heads over, who's right in the transaction, right? Well, I always like to get congratulated on things, and right now we have a caller who wants to give us a compliment, so let's hear what they can say. Hi, this is Bill Sherwood. Is this Thomas in Catonsville?
Yes. Hi, Mr. Sherwood, and your guest. Let me just mention, I'm not a person that knows any of you. I started listening last week. I can't stop listening, and I've told all my friends to listen in. I've never heard so many good tips on real estate, automobiles, and those sponsors you have are unbelievable, like the fellow, the Mitch Adolf or whatever his name is, with the thermometry scan.
Yes.
I have a friend that needs that with soft tissue. I've got a friend that I told about the real estate listing at with the Synergy Realty.
Yes.
But what really caught me was, I don't know you fellas, and this show should be like must listening for most people. I'm glad CBM put you on, and you have a gentleman there today that really impressed me. He had a caller from out of state, and he gave the caveat by saying, this is a plant. This guy knows me, and he's calling in, and I'm glad he did. And I just wanted to thank him for the question. I said, that's an honest thing to do. Most people would never say that. But I want to compliment you guys. Great show, and I'm going to be calling each and every one of you. I just thought I would call and say that to you because so many of the shows you hear are vitamin shows and other kinds of shows. They're not practical. I mean, this is day to day. You said stuff today about sump pumps, and I'm going to call my insurance agent tomorrow. I don't have that coverage, and thank God you said all this stuff. I just wanted to thank you, Mr. Sherwood. You and your staff doing a great job.
Thomas, I got to say thank you for listening. We love that we have one loyal listener right now.
Yeah,
and the checks in the mail.
We may have to widen the door to get our heads out of the door, out of the studio. So thanks, Thomas.
You're very welcome, sir. Please keep up the good work.
All right, we look to hear from you next week, too.
You will. Thanks. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
That's great that we get, we're starting to build our fan base, right?
Well, and I think, if we give out some helpful hints and information, we're here to help people. Yeah. And, again, we are honest, I think, and it's good to hear somebody else vouch for that, and we're here for you.
And honestly, last week we did speak to Tom, but that was the only interaction we've ever had with Tom. Full disclosure. Hopefully we'll hear from him next week, and he'll be a repeat listener. Again, for anybody else that wants to call in, the numbers to call in is 410-922-6680. Again, 1-800-922-6680. And we've went through a lot of these things here, talking about different nightmare scenarios with real estate. One of the things that basically flashes back from my time when I was actually clerking for Yosef's boss, Bob. We would always have these really weird outliers that would come in, and as far as insurance claims go, that some things wouldn't wouldn't really just mesh, and whatever reason the insurance company wouldn't pay.
That's because you were working for my boss, Bob, and all we do is insurance coverage.
Right. But
they only give us the outliers.
Right. But, one of the things that kind of stood out to me was there was always these really weird black swan events that would just, you would think that would never happen. And they just, some poor soul had something that wasn't insured, or maybe the insurance company said, hey, we really didn't think about this as being something we'd have to pay for, so let's find a way out of it. Sorry, John. But
every day, I think I've heard everything. Again, I've been doing this for over 26 years, and every day there's something new and different that pops up. It's crazy.
Well, okay, what if you have, you're having a cookout, and Fluffy's a normally happy dog, but Fluffy wants the hamburger, and the kid happens to be walking by with the hamburger, and the dog takes a nip out of the neighbor's kid, right?
Hey,
is your insurance company going to cover it?
Well, Fluffy, and it's funny you mentioned that, because everybody will say, well, I just have friends and family over. I don't really have a reason to have a good amount of liability. I'm never really going to get sued. I don't have parties. Well, we've actually seen family members sue each other where a child has been bitten by a dog, and I can think several years back, and actually in the face, and the child required surgeries and different, and the family didn't have any health insurance, so they had no other choice but to go after their own brother.
People perceive suing your family members as sociopathic, and at some level that's true, because from my perspective, someone who doesn't do family law, most family law consists of family members taking all their money, giving it to the lawyer, and not getting happier. And I'm not sure why they always go to the trouble. But from my perspective,
you can tune in next week because that's what we're talking about, family law.
So, from my perspective as an insurance lawyer, when you buy an insurance policy that protects you against possible harms you cause, and then your dog bites, it bites your relatives. The relatives sue you. They're not suing you. They need to sue you to go unlock that enormous liability policy. It's not your money that pays them. It's your insurer's money that pays them. And it's not like, that was just a fluke. You took a bet with an insurance company that they would compensate anyone you accidentally hurt, and you accidentally hurt them by letting Fluffy eat them, and I'm terrified of dogs, and I sympathize. But you took a bet with your insurance company to go and make the people who are hurt by Fluffy whole. And the idea that if they're your relatives, then they shouldn't be made whole, because then, a mega corporation like Allstate might need to pay. You went and you bought the product so Allstate would make them whole, because if you don't, then it's not then someone else will. Then no one will make them whole.
Yeah, a lot of times you're right. It's not a personal vendetta or decision. It's just they have to do it. They don't have any other choice.
And even if they did, why? If they don't sue, the practical effect isn't to protect their relative. The practical effect is to go and protect Allstate Insurance Company, this ridiculously mega $1 billion. There's something like an $87 billion corporation. I had to look it up once because I had a client who thought that he could bully an insurance company. And I said, look, you do realize the scale of wealth here, that your insurance company is small. It's only got something to the tune of $17 billion or something. Some vast astronomical sum.
The story of David and Goliath comes to mind.
Exactly. And insurance companies are Goliaths. And to me, you took a bet with them, and then the idea that they shouldn't pay because, you're going to have to go and write your relative's name on the suit papers, it's not personal. Well, it's about compensating someone,
I deal with family members all the time wanting blood from family members. Whether they're going 10 rounds over Aunt Ginny's, knickknacks from Walmart, or if it's, some other, maybe custody for the kids or whatever. But when it comes to, a family member getting injured inside of another family member's house, they're there's no real, they don't think that the family members overtly tried to harm them, so they feel like it's maybe, bad social form to go bring a lawsuit against them. But hey, they fell down the steps, Fluffy took a hunk out of them, whatever it is, and they got to go there.
And I think it's not that it's the big bad insurance company that doesn't want to pay the claim. I think if you have the right coverage in place, and you have the proper coverage in place, and
it shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter. They're going to pay. It's where there's discrepancies.
Sure. Well, there's going to be a no-fault med pay that's mandatory on policies precisely so people get paid without having to go file the liability suits.
All right, hold that thought, gentlemen. We have a commercial break coming up right now.
Hi, this is Bruce Elliott for Window Nation. Spring into action today for huge Window Nation savings. Get 2 free windows for every 2 you buy for as many as you need. No limit and 0% financing for 18 months. It's time to start thinking home improvements. You want to clean up this spring? These half-price savings from Window Nation are how you do it. It's an incredible limited-time event. Window Nation offers over 1,500 custom window and door style combinations, Energy Star products, and windows designed and engineered to tame our wild weather conditions. And with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, it just doesn't get any better. Well, actually, with this offer, it does. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free. There is no limit, plus 0% financing for 18 months. This limited-time event will not be around long. Call Window Nation now, 866-90-NATION, or visit them online at windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION, or online at windownation.com. Tell them that Bruce sent you. Buy 2, get 2 free. 0% financing for 18 months.
If you're currently thinking about buying a home or refinancing your mortgage, it is very important to choose a solid, reputable title company to handle your real estate closing. And one of the best around is Summit Title Company. Summit Title has handled thousands of real estate closings in Maryland since 1985. And they are committed to the highest level of service at competitive fees. They're owned and managed by experienced real estate attorneys who work with a dedicated, professional staff to ensure smooth quality service for each transaction. Summit Title is located in the heart of Towson, but their settlement officers travel to any location in Maryland that is convenient for closing. So if you or someone you know is buying a home or refinancing a mortgage, you should contact Summit Title Company. Their phone number is 410-583-5353, or you can find them online at summittitlecompany.net.
Synergy Realty Company, LLC, is a boutique real estate brokerage built to serve you. Thinking about selling your home? Sellers just mention this ad to list your home for sale with a 1.5% listing fee, which includes a home staging consultation and professional photography. Call 443-776-1846. We also have buyers covered. If you know a first-time home buyer, have them call 443-776-1846 to sign up for a free home buyer seminar that could save them thousands on closing costs, home inspections, and warranties. Are you a real estate investor? Maximize your portfolio by calling 443-776-1846 to schedule a free consultation. Or visit Synergy Realty Company online at synergyrealtyexperts.com or call them 443-776-1846.
Shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They'll help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, so you can enjoy the things that matter most. Contact Baltimore Allstate agent John Koch for a free personalized insurance proposal. Allstate. Are you in good hands? Life insurance offered by Allstate Life Insurance Company, Northbrook, Illinois, and Lincoln Benefit Life Company, Lincoln, Nebraska.
Irish tenor Emmett Cahill appearing live Sunday, April 22nd at 4 p.m. at the Church of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, 8501 Loch Raven Boulevard. This concert will include selections from his #1 world music album, along with Broadway, movie hits, folk, and sacred hymns. General admission tickets are $30, but there are a limited number of meet-and-greet tickets for $50. For tickets, 410-668-7935, 668-7935. Irish tenor Emmett Cahill, April 22nd, 4 p.m. at the Church of the Immaculate Heart of Mary.
Well, welcome back. We're in our final segment here of Law Talk. This week we've been going through a lot of the different nightmares that are involved with real estate and real estate transactions. We kind of, shared some of our personal horror stories, but at the end of the day, it seems that you want to make sure you just get the right professionals in place when you're both buying a home, when you're preparing a home, or when you're insuring a home. And I think that will do a lot to avoid most of these headaches. So, when you're going through it, make sure you have a good home inspector. Make sure you have a good agent to go through that home and make sure you're doing the purchase correctly and
a good contractor.
A good contractor. Make sure they're licensed and they pull permits and that sort of thing. And, at the end, when you're getting the insurance, make sure that you have a conversation. You don't just go online. You go and actually, talk about your needs and, what you're hoping to insure against, and hopefully that insurance agent is good enough to be able to help you figure out some things that you may not have thought about, so that way you can cover your bases going forward. And now we're getting ready to wrap up. So we do want to say thank you to some of our sponsors, and some of those that have helped make this show possible. Zeb's IT is in the background helping out with a lot of the background items to make sure we have a website, as well as SK Creative Solutions, who is doing the website both for the radio show, my law office, and my real estate brokerage.
Yeah.
So, if you have any small business needs, you should check out Zeb's IT and SK Creative Solutions. And I do also want to give a good shout out to Bob Symes. He also, who happens to be the boss of Yosef Cooperman, and also my friend and mentor. He helped make sure I had my early career in law started, and he's helped me in many ways since. And whenever I need an attorney, I always go to Bob and Yosef. So keep them in mind for any
The
insurance.
attorney's attorney.
Yeah, exactly.
Yosef.
Yeah, and John, did you have anybody you wanted to?
Well, I was going to talk about our spicing up our wardrobes.
Okay.
And everybody's interested in spicing up their wardrobe. So our sponsor, Baldwin Belts, at baldwinbelts.com, can make you a specialized needlepoint belt, handmade, one-of-a-kind gifts. They can do it for weddings, graduations, anniversaries. They can do family crest, anything you can imagine. They can put a belt together for you, and they're absolutely beautiful. And they also do dog collars, so you can have a matching belt and a dog collar for your dog.
I don't know why people would want that, but
you just
I
never
guess
know.
I don't own a dog, so maybe this is something people do. I'm usually hiding from dogs.
I'm going to bring you a puppy.
No, you're not.
No. You'll probably get there ready to throw everything at me.
Have you heard of a whiner dog? A whiner, W-I-N-E-R, I believe that's what it was. Somebody was into whiner dogs, and they Baldwin Belts had done this. It was a beautiful dog, but it was called a whiner dog. I'd never heard of it before, and so
hopefully it didn't whine all the time. Right?
Probably, yeah.
So, making the transition. Next week's plan is to bring in a guest attorney to talk with us about family law. We're going to basically do an overview of the different headaches involved when it comes time to sue a family member, whether it's for custody, divorce, and all the fun, ugly of that. So, we're going to do a primer of that next week. So if you have any questions, you have anybody who wants to listen, please point their radios to us here at 2 o'clock next Sunday.
And Bill, could I throw out, when you mentioned SK Creative Solutions, their phone number, can I throw that out?
Yeah, sure, please.
It's SK Creative Solutions. If your website should be acting like a sales employee on the job 24/7, so if your business is struggling to get new leads from your website, give SK Solutions a call at 410-967 8194. That's 410-967-8194 or skcreativesolutions.com. So
we were throwing out numbers for everybody too. So, Spinal Life, the guy that keeps, Dr. Adolph keeps putting my spine back to where it needs to be when I play bumper cars. Give them a call at 410-560-1880. And then Summit Title, who's helped a lot of us here, is 410-583-5353.
Awesome.
Any closing remarks on any of the things that we've talked about on, real estate nightmares this week? Everybody's looking at no, Bill, no.
Well, next week, if you can call us and tell us your horror stories. We love hearing horror stories because that's what keeps you guys fueled, right?
Right. Yeah. Everybody likes to watch the slow moving train wreck.
No, the miserable part about the litigation business is that every time people show up they always show up at a miserable point when they have something gone wrong. You're never there for the happy bits.
They don't call you when things are going well, right?
Well, that's part of the reason I keep able to keep my sanity is I do real estate, and that's usually happy. So thanks again to everybody listening in, and we hope to see you next week. Check out our website. It's now live, I hope, at www.law-talk.show. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Hope to see you next week. Thanks a lot.
Good afternoon.
Radio 680